Hello, hello. Welcome back to some more Wildfrost. Today we have a different kind of video. Normally I'd just be playing a game of Wildfrost, but today I'm going to try to discuss Azul Battle Axe. And what I'm going to do this whole series, I'm going to call it, I think, the Wildside chat instead of Fireside chat. And I'm basically copying the idea of Jorbs, who did this with Slay the Spire. I don't know if he made it through all the cards, but I used to love this series that he did. He basically do like a 5 to 10 minute video on every single card in the game, and he gave a lot of insight beyond just like, hey, this card's good or this card's bad. These are sort of its interactions. So I wanted to do something like that. So I have done this for every single card, or I've made notes for every single card and clunker or item and clunker in the game so far, and then we have to move on to companions after that. So yeah, I hope you like it. I'm always open to more discussion about these cards. Nothing that I say is set in stone by any means. There are a lot of cards in here that I don't use very often. Interestingly, I'm pretty certain I feel like I've used at least Azul, Skull, and Bebop on this account, so I'm not exactly sure. And I'm pretty sure I've used the critical bomb thing too. So maybe I'll just pick those in upcoming runs. So I'm not surprised that I haven't used a berry basket on this account, to be honest. But anyway, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Azul Battle Axe. So Azul Battle Axe does 3 damage. It is an item, and it applies Overburn equal to the damage dealt. So a few things to think about here. One being that this can snipe 6 HP backlines in one shot, in one go, which is really remarkable. So this is very solid early mid game in itself. It also can snipe clunkers, do 2 damage to clunkers, which is really powerful. So yeah, great backline damage, and it also has potential to do 12 damage in its base case. And what I mean by that is, say you have a 6 HP backliner, you hit it, and then it splashes Overburn damage to the rest of the row, which would be 2 other members. So in theory, you're doing up to 12 damage with Azul Battle Axe, which is very powerful for an item early, and in some cases later. So another thing to note is that if the target is below 3 HP, however, this does not splash that damage. So something to keep in mind. So if something's at 2 or 3 HP and you want to just snipe it, sure, you can still do that with this card, but it's essentially like a scrappy sword at that point. It's not applying the overburn. It's not doing the extra damage. So I would say this card is baseline good without any other overburn synergies. It is sort of the stepping stones to overburn synergies, like things like Azul Candle really rely on Azul Battle Axe or other things like this to kind of ramp up. And there aren't that many base Overburn appliers. There are things like Azul Battle Axe, Azul Skull, Bebop, and your Overburn hero or leader for the most part. But this is fine without the synergies because it is the kind of the building blocks, and I think this gets really strong with other Overburn synergies. Overburn is a keyword or kind of scaling type that scales very, very powerfully later into the game, as if you feed into it, because you have things like Azul Candle and Vesta that are doubling base Overburn. So this ramps up in power pretty tremendously. I would say don't by default pick this up. Like if you see it, don't just pick it up, especially as you're heading into mid-late game. If your deck is not heading in the Overburn direction, you really don't need to pick this up, especially if you have ways to deal with backline. But I will say early game, I will pretty much very easily pick this up because it solves a lot of my woes early. It provides a tremendous amount of damage in the early mid game, and then its potential to scale with Overburn synergies is quite strong. But if you already have sort of an offensive solution in the mid game, you don't need to necessarily be picking this up. Another thing to note is this damage, this 3 attack and then Overburn, it can kind of be saved for later. So as new waves are coming in, you can hit hit something. Say you're basically spending a turn, like just using a turn just to use a turn while the enemies are slowly coming in with the waves. You can basically put 3 Overburn on something, and then as the next wave comes in, now that damage is essentially stored to be used on that new wave, and then you can chip down the initial target so that the Overburn will splash onto the new targets. So that is something that's kind of a bonus. So another thing that I mentioned earlier was the clunkers, backline clunkers that have 2 or more scrap. This is doing 2 scrap and splashing when you attack it, which I think is very powerful against like the Frost box that has 2 scrap, Mega Mimic, I think on Frost Guardian, as well as the spike walls on multiple fights, the clunker fight, Frost Guardian as well. So I'd say this also scales with charms. It sort of has double effectiveness with many charms. So what I mean by that is like Battle Charm, for example, brings this from 3 attack to 5 attack, but it's also increasing the Overburn from 3 to 5. So so basically this increases the damage. Say you just add a Battle Charm to this. This is increasing the damage from 5 initial, 5 Overburn, which is 10 on a single target, and potentially 20 on 3 targets. I mean, that is a tremendous gain from the 12 that it has without charms. Additionally, Molten Egg is a card or a charm that goes really well with this, so this gets this up to 8. I feel like I've never actually done that combination. It gives 5 attack and adds consume to the target, but it's possible that the charm is exclusive to a certain clan. I don't know if I can check that from here. But maybe that's why I haven't done it, or I just haven't seen that combination and felt like it was the play there. And another thing to note, oddly enough, it doesn't really work with the Overburn charm, the Flame Blade charm here, because it basically does the exact same thing. It's going to replace the 3 attack. It actually makes it worse. It replaces the 3 attack and does 3 Overburn, but now since it's not doing the 3 attack, it's not applying any additional Overburn, which is sort of a shame because it would be cool if this synergized with one of the core Overburn cards, but it's fine because it basically this charm gets other cards into the Overburn synergy, which I think is really fun. And I think that about does it for this card. I will say early game I'm very happy to pick this up. You don't have to. There are other cards that have similar value early mid, or you can pick up things that scale later in the game as well. Even in the mid game I'm feeling okay about this, especially if I have Overburn synergies already kicked in. Maybe my leader has Overburn, maybe I picked up a Vesta or something for some reason. This can be a pretty powerful base still going into the later portions of the game with those additional synergies, but I wouldn't just by default pick this up later in the game, because you probably have some damage solution that deals with backlines ideally, and this is not going to snipe easily the 8 to 10 HP backlines as it does with the 6 HP backlines earlier in the game. It's still not bad. You can still Azul Battle Axe an 8 HP thing and then Scrappy Sword it or something like that, or Tar Blade it in the Shademancer's case, but it does lose some value without the additional synergies as you scale later in the game. So yeah, so about 9 minutes. I think I talked about the card itself for maybe 7 minutes. So I'm gonna be adjusting how I do this. If you enjoy this sort of content, I mean, I'm gonna be doing a lot of these videos. So even if people don't love it, I would just love to hear your feedback on how you feel about the card itself. Do you enjoy taking this early, late, mid? When do you prefer to take this? What other interactions do you see with this card that are especially powerful, or that you need to look out for on certain fights? So thanks so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.